In a world that moves fast and forgets easy, veterans, after they take off their uniforms, coaches, shaping tomorrow's leaders today, volunteers, choosing service over self. Everyone has a story, and most of them exist because they kept trying. These are the stories, so they are not forgotten. My name is Bill Lau, and this is Semper Tri, because trying beats quitting. All right, welcome to Semper Tri, episode 7. I'm here with Todd Wohl, United States Navy veteran. You know those squids, we got to interview them too. So Todd, thank you for joining us.
It's my honor.
You have an Iraqi freedom. Were you in during the Gulf War?
I was. I was deployed there in the Middle East from 1990 to early 1991.
Okay.
When things got started, and we were defense as far as supplies going in and out of there.
So you're on a boat, ship?
Ship.
So I heard the other day the difference between a boat and a ship. Navy people don't like you calling them boats, but like a boat's what you ride on in a lake, and when you ride on a boat and you turn left, it tips left. When you're on a ship and you turn left, it tips right.
Correct.
So is that proper?
Sort of, yeah.
Okay.
It just takes a long time to turn.
Yes.
Yes.
I bet. What ship were you on?
I was on the USS INGERSOLL DD-990.
Okay.
DD-990, I should say, and we were a Spruance class destroyer.
Oh, nice.
So we were intelligence gathering, but mostly we were kind of a fast attack. We had I can't confirm or deny that we ever had Tomahawks on board, but we were capable. So we were very capable. We did a lot of intelligence gathering.
Okay.
And making sure shipping lanes were clean and clear, and other things were in play. So, and we once in a while we did have some SF special forces guys come on board to do recon and stuff with their helicopters, because we had helicopter pad there.
Okay, so is that like Marine Special Forces or like Navy SEALs?
I don't know which SF group was on board, because they kind of keep to themselves.
Gotcha.
But this is when night vision was kind of earlier stages, 90, 91, and very, very, it was very eventful. I was deployed twice in 3 years.
Okay.
So we were extremely busy ship.
Nice. So, when did you join? Like right out of high school? What made you decide to take the Navy route, or was there other options?
I've always been a blue collar kid. We farmed and ranched. But when I got out of high school, like any other kid, what the heck am I going to do? So, I went to vocational school.
Okay.
And because I've always had the gift to gab. So, I got into the sales bit.
Okay.
And things, and things were kind of dry. So I just, at the point where, it was probably the first time I ever asked my dad, and he's a Army veteran.
Okay.
And I, finally, working at gas stations and things, it just was not going to pull weight for lifetime employment.
Yes.
So I was really at a mix, and you can only drink so much beer, Yep. And you had to be an adult at some point. And, I asked my dad, Dad, first time I ever did it, Dad, what do you think I should do? He said, I think you should join the military. And it's kind of been in the back of my mind,
Right.
I did been a weapons kid, weapons guy my whole life, but I've also been in the music business and
Yep.
and a vocalist and whatnot for many years. So I decided, I think I wanted to be a teacher possibly, so I thought, I'll get into the Navy music program,
Okay.
And possibly, put my foot in the best forward position in life. So I went in, and like a lot of, the military puts you where they need you, not where you want to go.
100%.
And it's not the real reason I served anyway. I wanted to serve our country because I had a lot of pride.
Yeah.
So I went through boot camp in Orlando, Florida.
Really? For the Navy?
Yes. Orlando, Florida was our boot camp, and that was the female boot camp as well. which made it harder. It actually made it harder.
You're the only male there?
Well, if you're caught fraternizing, you get bagged back in training and you got to start over. So that was the deterrent.
Yeah.
So it was like, no women, no, you don't fraternize. Even though they were great shipmates, they really were at the time. They were great sailors, and so I went in there and basically went to basic deck seamanship.
Okay.
Which is hard nosed bosun mate stuff, rigging, sea and anchor, steering and driving the ship.
Oh.
Underway replenishment, such as refueling, things like that. There's a lot to it.
I've seen some videos. It looks complicated.
It's a tough bracket, and I grew up a tough kid.
Yeah.
Working blue collar, you're not afraid to get dirty, and we weren't. But I've always been a weapons kid, also. Rifle shooting, and I always was intrigued with the weapons part of it. So I was a deck seaman, and starting from the ground up. Went to school for basically captain school for rules of the road on the water, just basic stuff. Driving the ship. It's the helmsman is the steering wheel.
Yep.
The lee helmsman controls the speed and the throttle.
Okay.
So usually when you're driving a ship, you have a helmsman and a lee helmsman. You have two people. One with the power part of it, the throttle, and the other one on the ship's wheel, we call it.
Okay. So
I did that for a year, and I said, I want to really get in the weapons business. So after a year, I struck rates into the gunner's mate guns.
Okay.
Not missiles, guns. And I was pretty happy. Yeah. So maintenance, all that stuff. Training, we trained other people at the range and stuff too, as well.
Okay.
And so it kind of took over.
So like when you say gunner now, like these are the guns that are on the ships that, like, if people are coming up, it's the last line of defense, or
everything. Our biggest guns on our ship were the 5-inch turret.
So you're okay.
From everything from 5-inch turrets to 50 cals to 25 millimeter Mikes.
Okay.
To the Colt 45 1911 pistols.
Okay.
M14s, M60s, M79 grenade launchers.
Yep.
The whole bit.
Okay.
We didn't have the M4s back then. I feel old.
I don't think they had the M4s.
We didn't have the M4. We had the M14s on board.
Okay.
And plus we had, ship boarding capabilities. Our ship was also involved in drug enforcement. So involved in training, boarding another ship, taking control of another ship as far as, like I said, drug enforcement.
Yep.
So, we had to have a team to take control of it.
So, like, locally around the United States, you guys did this?
Or yes, around the United States. And
was this like co-op with like Coast Guard then?
Right, we co-op with the Coast Guard, which they're amazing people too.
Yep.
But yeah.
Okay. Sweet. So like 5-inch. Explain what the 5-inch gun is to.
Well, 5-inch 54 is our biggest turret. The biggest one we had was, I got the opportunity to sail the last few years with the battleships. The New Jersey I got to sail with. Those are 16-inch guns, which are unbelievable. But I mean, I could go into the different kind of ammunition and things, but ours were 5-inch.
Okay. Range, roughly?
Range roughly was 12 nautical miles.
Wow.
It was our effective range on those.
So you could provide some support to the land when needed.
Yes, and air support. We actually had ammunition for anti-aircraft as well with 5-inch, believe it or not.
Okay. Anti-missile probably.
All kinds of stuff.
Nice. Okay. So only one ship you served on, or you said you got to a battleship? When did they retire the battleships? They don't use battleships anymore, do they?
I want to say in the late 90s, they decommed them.
Okay.
Decommissioned them. The big four were there, the Iowa, the Wisconsin, the New Jersey, and
I'm not sure.
Well, there's four of them.
Right.
Anyway, they're Iowa class.
Okay.
Yes.
And they're the ones that replace like the Missouri and stuff that's sitting out at
the Missouri. Yep. Yeah. Them are the big ones.
Yep. Sweet. So, did you ever get into music in the Navy? I know you said you tried to join for that.
On our off time, we did have a little bit.
Okay.
Got together with some fellow musicians on board our ship, and our off time, we'd get together and jam and play some music. And that's basically where I learned how to play guitar in 1988.
Okay, so you learned in the Navy.
I learned to play guitar in the Navy.
Gotcha. So you had,
yes.
Okay.
And I've been playing ever since, professionally, I should say.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get into a little bit of that. I know that's where I met you, was at a concert venue, and then you played for my wife's, we won't say what year, birthday party. What was it, like her 30th or something like that?
Yeah, something like that,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, 30th. Yeah,
late 20s, something.
Yeah. So, but tell me more about being on the ship. I mean, I was never on a ship. Never. What's the life like? Anything?
Well, our basic peacetime day was, quarters usually at 0500, sometimes 0600, depending if we were holiday routine. Usually weekends were holiday routine. We had holiday routine, you didn't have to muster in the mornings, but in the weekdays you had to muster 0500, and you got your work detail squared away for that day, whether it's weapons cleaning. When we'd shoot 5-inch shells, the empty casings would hit the deck, and they'd chip the paint around the deck. So it was that maintenance. We had to take care of our painting and stuff like that, and rust control. A lot of it was rust control underway. But there's a million things to do, and holiday routines. But in wartime, usually it was 6 on and 6 off. We had 6 hours duty, whether we are manning our machine guns or whatever. And the 6 hours off was that 6 hours you got your sleep. You had to do all your maintenance. So there was very little sleep on board when you're in, I should say, battle ready.
Okay.
General quarters, stuff like that. So it's night and day. But generally, in a peacetime, you woke up, you did quarters, and usually 1600 was knock off time, and you could go work out, go grab a beer, whatever you wanted to do. The married guys had a family. A lot of them lived on shore, and they had their houses and they had their families. Us single guys, we just lived on board.
Okay. So even when the ship was docked, you're saying
correct,
you lived on board.
It was my home.
Crazy. So just sitting there. How long would it be in port for?
That's hard to say. We were not in port very long. I remember after boot camp in my AT school, I think we were underway within possibly a month in 1988.
Okay.
So I was within a month after boot camp and seeing my family and going to my permanent duty station, which was Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, was our other station.
Nice.
I know. Well, yeah, right. I got to see it, but I did, I was underway and deployed more than I was there.
Okay.
But got to see the world. I've probably been to more countries than states.
Okay.
So
can you tell us about some of the ports you guys pulled into, or anything interesting, or
kind of the neat before the Gulf War, before that deployment, we had the honor of sailing with the USS New Jersey, representing the United States to celebrate Australians' 100th year.
Okay.
Which in 1988. So we were the flagship to represent the U.S. And we were in South Korea, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Thailand, the Philippines, and Midway Islands.
Okay.
A lot of history there.
Yes, a lot of history there.
Very neat that I did get to visit personally. I got to experience and see for myself how small the island was, but how tactically it was so important during the war. And there is still wreckage laying out there. It's unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah, speaking of Midway Islands, I got to go to Wake Island, which is smaller.
Right.
And it was just basically a little airport, so
pretty much full of Goonie birds.
Yeah, got to do a transfer there. And like you said, we went snorkeling, and there was here's a sunken airplane, here's a amphibious attack, whatever, when the Japanese were trying to take it. So yeah, it's the history that's out there that we don't realize is just amazing. So, all right. So, how many years in the Navy?
I did 4 years.
4 years active duty.
Correct.
And
I
then,
did. It was considered active duty, but I did 3 years active, and then I did 1 year of active reservist.
okay.
And that was I never even got to be on the ship, but our reserve we were connected to a ship called the USS Knoll, and I'm sure she's deep sixed by now or taken apart because
Right.
it was a rusty tin can back then. I
Oh,
never did get to visit, and not to say that I was sorry about it because you went from a active newer ship to
so being taller, how was that?
a lot of knots in my head.
I bet.
We had some guys 6'8".
Ugh.
I know I felt bad for them, but the overheads were very short.
And nothing soft.
Nothing is soft
No.
out there. Everything's steel.
So, all right. So you get done. You were in Hawaii the whole time stationed?
Correct.
Okay. So you get done. You like, don't, I'm not really enlisting. I'm going home. Minnesota always been your home?
Minnesota has always been my home.
Okay.
When I got at the end of my enlistment, due to the fact that I was approached to join the DEA because of my weapons training and
Okay.
stuff, and I was hemming and hawing about it, and I made my way back to Minnesota and started my life.
Okay.
And it took but when you are in a battle zone, when you're in that sort of situation, with tensions and things, it's almost, the chaos is almost addictive. You get used to that, and then when you come home, it's just quiet, and that's really, it takes a long time to
Adjust.
get used to that. Yeah.
Okay. So then you didn't go DEA?
I did not. I went
So-
home, and I started working at a company called Klaus Stamping Company, and they were really great to me for 15 years, and then service connected things after my third back surgery. They said, Todd, retire.
Time to take it a
You're
little bit easier.
you're pretty beat up.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And
So during that 15 years, is that when you started getting into performing musically?
correct. I
Okay.
started to get into performing, and due to a couple life changes, I was kind of forced to do things that I like to do. I have been a fishing guide for 40 years.
Oh,
So I always had that under my belt.
Okay.
I always enjoyed doing that, and it was,
still do that to this day?
I still do that to this day.
Oh.
Not full time, but I just enjoy doing it. When the weather's calm and my back can handle it,
Yep.
I do it. But hunting and fishing, but also, yeah, music. Music kind of saved me.
Okay.
Music and faith saved me a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Okay. And then you just perform solely, right? I mean,
I'm a solo act. I was with some just under national act bands, and was very fortunate to play via jam sessions or some veteran events, with some guys from the Bob Dylan groups, Steve Miller band groups. I was in two extremely successful bands, which were the Wild Horses band from Cass Lake, Minnesota, and I lived up there for a while, and Southbound band, Minnesota. And then the body started to wear down a little bit, being on stage and dancing around and stuff with my guitar, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go solo act, and I sit on a stool and entertain, and I love doing it.
yes, and you sound amazing. And
Thank you.
if you need to book somebody, fairly inexpensive for,
Veteran owned.
there you go,
There you
veteran
go.
owned. So anything else you want to tell us about the Navy, or any stories you're hiding or guests might find?
What's really interesting, people don't realize, the ships are basically a floating hotel as well. So everything we owned, we had to put in a little locker underneath our rack, and it was 3-rack system, and yeah, things were tight. But no, that's the long and the short of it. Pretty much, that's the short end of a long story.
Okay. So how long was, I'm going back to Orlando here in the female boot camp.
Right.
So I've never heard that, boot camp wasn't in Chicago or whatever for.
Well, there was 3 places when I was in. It was
Okay.
Great Lakes, and it was Illinois, and then it was San Diego, California, and it's Orlando, Florida. And I was blessed and fortunate to, all my orders were like
warm,
blessed, right? Because, I went from just a podunk, hardworking kid from Minnesota, and then I was like, Orlando, Florida. Okay. So I was in Orlando, and that was, believe it or not, it did get cool in January down there. And then my orders came, and then my orders were Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. So yeah, I kind of got the good end of the stick on that.
Yeah. Was the Arizona Memorial out there? Did they have the memorial kind of built at that time?
At
I guess
Porter's,
that's the history of that.
At peacetime, when we were in port, I saw the Arizona every morning when I woke up, which really grounded me personally, because I thought about a Sunday just like December 7th, 1941 was just a Sunday morning. Everybody kind of went out for beers and we're dancing and having fun. And all of a sudden we were under attack at 7 in the morning. Right. And I looked at the Arizona thinking this is me. This was me in 1941 standing here.
Right. Not expecting anything.
So I have a lot of, it's just a special place for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I appreciate it. You brought a hat. Tell me about this hat.
Well, years later, my ship, which was a great ship, but years pass and decisions are made in the Department of War, and they decommissioned and they strip some of these ships down and they sink them, and they use them for target practice, believe it or not.
Okay.
And so what they did was they took some missiles and they sunk my ship, and I did get some things off my ship when I was in that were from my ship. Now this particular hat, it's an officer's hat, so I couldn't wear it. But this is from the USS INGERSOLL ship's store, from the ship itself. And I've had this hat I bought from the store for years, and I want to give it to the American Legion and
awesome,
and to hang up in commemorative of my ship that is no longer floating on the water; it's underwater. Perfect. And so
it's probably like a reef now.
It is a reef. It's a diving reef.
Awesome.
So people can enjoy.
Where did they sink it roughly? Do you know?
I don't know if it was out of California. I'm thinking it was, but don't get me wrong. I'm not sure the exact details on it.
Okay.
Or the year. I think it was probably the early 2000s they sunk it.
Okay.
So
interesting. I would love if you find a couple pictures when you're in of your ship and anything like that. That when we post this, I can post with the story and stuff like that. And
I will
let the audience see what this destroyer looked like.
I've got 3 pictures. I've got one with the ship next to the Arizona Memorial.
Awesome.
And I've got another ship when the missiles hitting it when it sunk, and my hat.
There you go. Awesome. Okay, I think that's great. Thank you for tuning in for episode 7.
Thank you for having me.
This was awesome.
All right.
Always wanted to hear the Navy stories and the boot camp, and I learned something new today.
All right.
So
that's the rated G stories from a Navy man.
Perfect. Yeah, we won't go into the rated R's on this show, maybe in the future. But join us again for Semper Tri, because trying beats quitting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome, Todd.